a look at it.
Okay, I'm Kevin DDR here. I'm commenting on alkamaass's Perfect Dark any percent run. He's playing in the PAL region because of a glitch that we'll talk about later. He's going to be beating the game on the lowest difficulty, Agent. So assuming everything is okay with Alka, I guess I'll be counting him in. We'll just go with 3, 2, 1, start. Okay, and we're up and running. Okay, first things first. Alka's going to glitch out of the first stage using a little out of bounds glitch there to basically complete the stage instantaneously. On the lowest difficulty Agent, the only objective is to just reach the end of the stage. And normally you have to ride a bunch of lifts and stuff. So instead of that, we just clip out of the stage and fall into the end zone, which is what he did there. Now, the second stage, Investigation, is a sort of auto-scroller normally. The reason why is because there are only 2 objectives on the stage. One is to take a photo of the radioactive isotope, which you'll see Alka do right now. Now, you might wonder why he's like stopping and doing other stuff. And the reason why is because you'll see soon that it actually doesn't matter what pace he's on here. Because there is a cleaning robot that roams the stage, and there's a big set of lasers in a hallway meant to block you from advancing to the end of the stage here. Normally, you have to wait for the cleaning bot to just roam around the stage and deactivate them along its path. But Alka's going to try something a little different here, which is he's going to try and laser skip. Because it turns out that the bottom and the second to bottom laser, you can see right here, are actually like 1 pixel shifted away from each other. So if you fall into them at just the right angle, and you get a few attempts at it, and then you probably will die if you keep trying it. So let's see. Alka's very good at this trick and is one of the only people to have completed a run using the double laser skip strategy, which is much harder and much less reliable, but of course can lead to some insane times. So it didn't work out. And I mean, that's common, especially if your early attempts don't work out. As the stage gets laggier and laggier as more guards follow you, it just absolutely turns into a dumpster fire and you can't get the skip to work at all. So he waited. He's going to run up here due to data uplink. This takes about 10 seconds. And we're good. Okay. So now he just pretty much has to run to the end zone. He's going to take a little dip to the left here to avoid the drone. Or not. It's Agent, so actually the drone is totally not going to hit him either way. All right, next comes Extraction, which is a really fun level. And the nice thing about it, too, is that the speedrun strat on Agent as an individual level and the any percent RTA strat are pretty similar. The main difference here in this stage is kind of like an escort mission. There's a little robot following you around, Dr. Carol. Actually, this is crazy. Alka is playing this without night vision, which is wild. So you're supposed to guide Dr. Carroll to the top of the stage and escape with him. And he kind of follows you around and is slow and loves doing stupid things. So in order to prevent him from dying, which is what happens most of the time when you just kind of YOLO it, he kills some guards to make sure that Dr. Carroll's going to survive the rest of the run. Then he opens a door through the wall as he comes out of the elevator, because doors in this stage and in most of this game are usually only locked from one side, namely the side that you might actually encounter them on. So if you can find a way to try and open them from the other side, usually you'll just be able to open them, and that lets you, of course, save a ton of time skipping a big chunk of the stage. So he kills the bodyguards down below there, and then hits the end zone, and that's the end of that stage. Villa's next. The stage is relatively simple on Agent, but getting a good time is tough because of the ending. First, you've got to kill these 2, well, not the snipers, but the guards blocking the negotiator at the bottom of the stage. And then from now to the end, we're basically just going to be running straight to the end of the stage, ignoring all the guards along the way. There are a couple things that need to be done, however. We need to turn on the generator to get power to the basement so that we can actually enter the basement. And this involves hitting 2 buttons that are very physically awkward to press. Let's see how Alka handles it. Decent pace so far. I mean, he played the sniper shots very safe to just make sure that they actually worked. Oh, missed a disarm there. You can disarm guards in this game by punching them with your alt fire. And it's a very powerful technique in lots of places because it lets you either make a guard immediately unable to hit you, or you can steal his weapon, which often you'll need in various places. Oh, did he? Okay, he did. Good. Sorry, I have no game sound here, so I'm just hoping that he hit the button correctly. So you've got to kill all the guards in the basement now. The reason for this is that when you kill all of these shock trooper guards, the last guard you kill, regardless of which one it is, will drop a key card, which you use to open the exit of the level. All right, so like 125. That's fine for RTA. The IL world record is about 106, but of course it takes everything as absolutely wildly as possible. So Chicago is the next stage, and this stage is called, its full title is Chicago Stealth. But as you'll see, we are thoroughly about to not play this stage in a stealthy manner whatsoever. I think Alka's going to play it safe. Okay, he is. He's going to take the bomb spy, which is a little hidden item in this stage. Normally, we're supposed to reprogram a taxi, which is going to blow up in front of this door and distract the guards. So instead, Alka's going to grab the bomb spy and then blow it up in front of the guards instead. Then he has to pick up the briefcase, which contains the mine. Doesn't really have to do anything with it, so just blows it up for fun. Next stage is G5, which is a really fun stage. You start out in a room with invisible cloaked guards. They can run to like 2 or 3 different positions, and based on the little shimmering effect when they spawn and cloak and uncloak, you can tell which it's going to be. So he's just going to run through and try and kill them quickly as possible. You need to kill all of the guards in each room because the last guard that you kill, much like on Villa, drops a key card like that, which you use to enter the next room. So from here, the remaining objectives are to take, we need to take a video basically of these meeting conspirators who are plotting to kidnap the president. He's going to run along this catwalk here, take it nice and safe. Uncrouch, pull out the cam spy. And now we need to go and open the safe. Now, there is a huge difference in the strategy of the individual level versus RTA on this stage, because in the individual level run, we actually just plant this door, this big safe decoder on that door there. And then we use the cam spy to start watching the conspirators meeting. But because that doesn't save time in real time, only in in-game time, we don't do that. So now we're stuck waiting for the door decoder to, well, decode to open the safe so we can retrieve the backup of Dr. Carroll. Should happen imminently. Got 15 seconds left. And now, theoretically, you can die here. There are a lot of guards that come out and shoot you and do all sorts of dumb stuff. And they all have magnums, which are like pretty much the most powerful gun in the game. One magnum is fine because, you know, its firing rate is not too bad. Or it's pretty bad, rather. But when you have like 5 guards coming at you with magnums, even on Agent, where you have what amounts to infinite health, you can still die quite easily. That safe door also just takes forever to open. And so Alka explodes the wall at the end there to finish the stage. Nice run so far. All right.
Okay, Joanna.
So next up after G5 is the infiltration of Area 51. This stage on Agent is pretty much just primarily a movement stage. I can't recall off the top of my head if there's any RTA differences. I primarily do individual level runs, so there's a couple things about RTA that I'm not so well versed on, but no, it's pretty much exactly the same. He just has to hit that button to open the gate, punch out the guard there to get a key card, and turn on the lift. Then he needs to go into the basement and plant some explosives to disable the security system. Hope that a guard doesn't block him on this ladder here. Oh, luckily he didn't. Luckily he didn't. Okay, we're good. Yeah, that guard can start running down the ladder and everything just goes to hell if that happens, so. Because then the lift shuts on you and it's just all a dumpster fire. So, that worked, and now he just has to run to the end of the stage. And because it's Agent, he's not going to have to kill any guards or anything. He is going to do a little trick here, I think, where he throws this dragon. One of the cool things about this game is the alternate fires on each of the weapons in the game. They have, 2 modes of firing usually, and the dragon's alternate mode of firing is to throw it as a proximity mine. Okay, he didn't do it. You can throw the dragon as a proximity mine in the elevator, and then when you leave the elevator, it'll blow up behind you, boosting you forward. But he didn't do that, so. Oh my god, it looks like everything, on the other hand, blew up behind him in the cutscene, so that was pretty great. Alright, let's see where we're going next. Rescue. There's 2 more Area 51 stages that all kind of share the same map. Rescue is kind of fun. You're supposed to use this little companion cube-looking crate to blow a hole in the wall later in the stage. And, of course, that's just not something that we're interested in doing whatsoever, so we have an alternate strategy for that. So we ride this lift up. I'm gonna just run along here. Hope the lift is in a decent position. Oh, and it is. Good. Okay. He's gonna throw that dragon there in the corner and then shoot it with a gun. Which, inexplicably, despite blowing up over there, blows up... Wow. These are some really interesting guard positions, huh? This blows up most of the guards there. So now we're gonna throw another dragon and blow it up at the wall. And again, inexplicably, even though it blows up so far away from the door just crumbles. So he does that. He picks up the lab coat and puts it on as a disguise. Then he's got to run in here, quickly shoot out this scientist that, for some reason, the guard just doesn't care about you doing that, as long as you put away your weapon fast enough. He missed. Okay, so he disarms the scientist. Not quite optimal, but it's like a 1-second time loss, so... Now let's see if he does any self-boosts on the way to the exit. I would, but that's just me. Probably he won't. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately he got tranquilized a little bit. You usually want to try and avoid that, because the tranquilizer effect makes playing this game just very unenjoyable. Oh, okay. Almost blew himself up. There's 2 ways to pick up that key card. You can either shoot that guard in the back right, or you can blow him up with a grenade launcher, and grenade launcher is possibly faster, but it often messes things up, so... Okay, the next stage is Escape. In this stage, we have to pick up our Alamau-looking alien friend, Elvis, and hide him. I mean, let's be real. He's like the most... We needed gray aliens, alien-looking alien of all time. We gotta hide him, and then we need to meet up with our fellow agent Jonathan, who's infiltrated the base. Let's see. So he's gonna pick up some tranquilizer from one of the guards there. He's just taking it safe and killing these guys. The reason why that he's taking it safe, in an individual level run, we would just run straight out along here and kill everyone on the way. But the reason that he's killing everyone is because Jonathan, who we meet up with, has some of the worst NPC AI and behavior of like any character in any video game. He kind of tries to follow you, but as soon as he sees an enemy, he just like stops, runs around in circles, takes out his gun, crouches, tries to kill them, and usually fails, and just everything becomes a dumpster fire again. So to prevent that, we just kill everybody, so he runs where he's supposed to. So then we have this little timed protect sequence here, kind of like Control from GoldenEye. What Alka's going to do here is set up a couple mines. The reason for this is because later on, and then he's going to start firing the grenade launcher, which guards just going flying here. He's going to stop all these guards that are coming in and trying to kill Jonathan while he's setting up the explosives. It's usually not very hard, but you've got to be careful because if it goes wrong, it's, you know, instantly an mission fail, and you have to replay this horrendously long level again. So that worked out, and again, he's going to kill another guard here. So we meet up with Elvis and pull out the remote mine. Now we blow up the remote mine, and the reason why is because after the cutscene, a ton of guards, like that guy, come and flood out from upstairs. And if Elvis or Jonathan sees any of them, it's like a 10 to 20 second time loss minimum, which makes the stage remarkably annoying to play. So, of course, it is possible to be pretty consistent on it in RTA, as long as you handle it correctly. I don't even know what Elvis is doing there. Yeah, see, he ran off in the other direction to try and kill a guard again. So here we abuse pushing NPCs. We're going to slide Jonathan along this wall. There's like a conversation that we have to listen to. But in order to make him complete his next objective faster, we just push him. So we take off right here. And now Jonathan is going to escape on a hover bike while we open the doors to the hangar for him. Okay, and Alka got one and then got the other, and that's the end of that stage. Pretty solid time for RTA. Yeah, I mean, you know, there are a couple safety strats being used here, but the run is going quite well. There have been no major issues so far. Airbase, really fun stage. And this is interesting too, because due to the way this game works, in a full game RTA run, you actually take a totally different route that you never take on any difficulty as an individual level. So here he's gonna knock out the stewardess, or tranquilize the stewardess of Air Force One. He's gonna take her uniform, go into the airbase and infiltrate it. Then the next thing, actually, I don't know if he does this in RTA or not, so I guess we'll find out. Yeah, okay, so he doesn't throw a dragon here. He's gonna use this drug spy here to call the lift later on. And it says lift inoperative, security system is active. It turns out that what that actually means is just that the last door doesn't open. But it still calls the lift up to the top. So he calls the lift with the drug spy early, turns off the security, and then goes into the lift just like that. This kind of all, again, went to hell as the Magnum guard decided to enter the elevator with us. But don't worry about it. It's fine. It's Agent. He's not going to kill you. Now, normally, in an individual level run on Agent, you would blow out that panel on the right there, which causes these lasers in this laser grid to kind of freak out, and you can run through them and enter the basement of the plane, or the cargo hold. But there's actually two entrances to the plane, and which entrance you pick determines which exit, or which entrance you'll start Air Force One on. And to save time for the whole run, we want to enter on the main floor. So we go up those stairs and then enter the, you know, passenger door of the plane. That lets us start Air Force One up here instead of down in the cargo hold. Because we're not on a higher difficulty, we don't need to do any of the stuff in the cargo hold. So there's this conversation with the president at the start of Air Force One. Alka's going to try and kind of strafe to sort of wiggle the president into following him. Let's see how well it goes. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So the president is now in a much better path. And we can actually just, like, exit this room. And as long as we keep our line of sight with the president, you don't actually have to see him. He just has to be able to see you. And he has 360-degree vision. As long as we can still see the president, the objective won't fail. So normally in an individual level, you would use the combat boost item, which kind of works like bullet time at this point. And that's what the game developers intended for you to do, to run through the plane, killing everyone in slow motion. But because this is a real-time run, of course, that loses tons and tons of time. So we don't get that luxury. So instead, we're going to go down to the basement and kill every guard as the president is running through the plane, so that no guards shoot him. And we just chill down in the basement until he gets there. That went pretty well. No guards were left alive. President's just going to run in. Objective complete. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, Crash Site is next. Now this stage is very different between an individual level and full game, because in the individual level, there's a little hover bike thing that you ride all around the stage. But you have to release it on Air Force One in order for it to appear on this stage. Since we didn't do that, we don't have it. So you just have to run. It loses time, but it's just what it is. So on this stage, there are 2 objectives. One is to kill the presidential clone, because the aliens have made a clone of the president. And the other is to rescue the actual president. So instead of going and killing the presidential clone, you have to run out and do a ton of stuff, like run all the way through the stage and kill him. Alka is just going to throw this mine straight over the wall there. And that mine is actually going to go all the way over the mountain into the caves, into a really nice spot, where now when he blows it up, there, presidential clone has been eliminated. So it worked perfectly. So he's going to start the little interaction with Trent and the president right here, which causes the president to run away and follow you. He waits until he can see the president, and now this is just all for pathfinding stuff. The president basically tries to follow you every, like, 5 seconds. So the best thing you can do is to just take a, like, straight path and make sure he doesn't stop and start over and over. And then once he crosses this line right here, he's just going to run to the stage end either way. So that's it. Pretty nice. 140 RTA, a crash site. Solid enough. Nothing really went wrong, and the president ran quite quickly, so. Next stage is Pelagic 2. We're deep underwater now. Data Dying Corp and the aliens have stolen this deep-sea mining vessel after the president refused to just let them use it. So the first objective here is to hit these buttons. There's 8 different buttons, 4 of which are randomly green. You have to hit all of the green buttons without hitting any of the red buttons in order to activate this little thing that you hit to shut down the power supply for the boat. And there's a couple techniques you can use. There's a little leeway too. If you like mash buttons really fast and hit a wrong button, sometimes it can still work. He's going to use the unfortunately named N-bomb here to, it's the neuron bomb to stun all of the enemies on the stage. He's going to do some stuff here. The next objective is to get these guards to shut down the GPS and the navigational system, which is interesting because you'd think those are the same thing, but you have to shut the GPS and the navigation system down, and those guards do it for you. Then we just try and... Wow, okay, that was insane, actually. There's a way to skip straight to the ending of the stage from there by clipping through a barrier, by inducing a ton of lag and then just running at the barrier. And Alka did it perfectly in that run. That was actually, even for an IL, really, really impressive. So, good job, Alka. Now, you might be wondering, why does this video capture look awful? Why is the music at the wrong pitch? Why are we doing any of this? And the answer to your question that you've either had or not had, depending on your level of interest, all the way until now, is this stage. Deep Sea has a bug that is only in the PAL version of the game. And it turns out that it saves, like, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 minutes off of the entire run, as well as makes it possible to consistently complete. So, on this stage, we need to guide Elvis around. He's got this Farsight weapon, which is like a futuristic sniper rifle that can fire through walls. And aim through walls as well. We'll see how that comes into play later. The first thing we have to do is go into this room and reactivate a console, which Elvis does for us. Unfortunately, Elvis, A, can die very easily, even on Agent, and B, gets distracted very easily. So a key in getting a good time on this stage is just taking out all the guards as quickly as possible so that Elvis just runs where he needs to. We gotta take out these guys too so that Elvis doesn't get distracted. And a message is gonna come up. Nice. So when that message comes up, he can then just book it. And Elvis right now is reactivating these little warp pipes that let you run through the deep sea ship. You'll see one coming up right here. Yep, there it is. And now we're in some different part of the ship. Elvis gives us the Farsight. This weapon is what breaks the stage, basically, because it turns out that we can actually hit some barrels that effectively cause the other objective to complete without doing what you're supposed to do on Agent, which is take Elvis into the room and have him like use computers for a minute or two. So yes, you can see these little canisters. You're not supposed to be able to hit them through the wall or see them at all, but because they didn't change the Farsight's like zooming behavior between PAL and NTSC, and PAL has a higher resolution, its zoom range is actually dependent on the resolution. So on PAL, it can see even further than it's supposed to be able to, which lets us take those out through the wall. So that was very well done by Alka. He's a bit of a specialist on this level, so I'm not surprised that it didn't take long for him to get the shots. And I mean, runs can fall apart there too. Like, even on an individual level, you can be on a good pace and then get to the Farsight shots, line them up badly, because the aim is actually remarkably tight to not have it lock on to something else instead. So from here to the end, he's just gonna, again, run to the ending of the stage, and there's a cutscene that you can't skip. It's just what it is. It's a cool cutscene, so... Basically what we're witnessing right now is the villains of the game having their weapon to surpass Metal Gear be blown up from the inside out. So... Alright, there we go. On to the next stage. CI Defense. This is kind of a cool stage. The Carrington Institute is like the training zone in this game that you go to from the main menu. And after you complete the deep sea mission in the campaign, the idea is like, you know, you and the president and your supervisor are all like back at the Institute celebrating your victory. And then the evil aliens come and hold everyone hostage. And again, it all becomes a dumpster fire. So we have to rescue the hostages and stop them from planting a bomb. Again, normally, this is one of the 2 stages in the game where you get a combat boost item to slow the stage down, so you can do the hostage saves nice. Only a certain amount of hostages need to live for the stage to complete, though, but all hostages have to be visited. So he saved all the hostages in that run, and then picks up the experimental weapon, which is one of the other objectives. Now you're going to see a message about the aliens planting a bomb. Yep, right there. So he's going to pull out a data uplink, upload a virus to the ship. He has to wait. Here you can die if you're not lucky, because all these Mr. Blondes are running at you, firing at you. It all worked out. He's going to cloak for safety just to make sure he doesn't die. One of the cool features of this gun on this stage is that its alt fire is just cloaking. It uses ammo, but you're just invisible once you turn it on, so... comes into play on the higher difficulties. Now, everyone who's watching and in chat, we need your strongest prayers and thoughts for alkamaass right now, as he takes on almost certainly the worst stage in this game, Attack Ship. Much for the same reason as Deep Sea, this stage is played on PAL, because Elvis's behavior is much better on PAL. We need to shut down those little shields at the start of the stage, as I'm sure you saw, which Alka did quite nicely. Then we need to kill 4 Skedder, which are these little flood-like aliens that come out of the hangars. How fast they spawn is dependent on like what animations they have when they die. So it's a bit of a crapshoot. But you know, that worked out pretty well, and Alka has some techniques to make it consistent. Now, in order for Elvis to follow you up here and do his next objective, which is accessing the star map room, Elvis is very, very good at dying. He has almost no health. So when Elvis encounters any Skedder at all, it's pretty much GG. Like, your run is over almost certainly because he's going to die. So what Alka does here to increase consistency, and this is a trick that people do on NTSC as well, where Elvis has even worse behavior, is just charge the back left corner of that room for a while. Oh, God. Oh, God. Yes, we're good. Okay, nice. That was scary. Elvis usually doesn't take that long to get in there. So, if you don't see him that quickly, it's pretty much time to reset. Because he's just going to die and you'll have to play the whole mission from start again. But it worked out. There is still a small chance that Elvis could die here, but it's pretty slim. I think he's going to kill every scatter to play it safe. A nice lift timing there. So, last objective for the stage is pretty simple. You're supposed to take control of the bridge. What this actually means is kind of unclear. But the fastest way that people have found to do it is to kill all 3 of these scatter, which triggers Elvis running into the room. Now, normally, like an infinite amount of scatter or a non-definite amount of scatter will spawn from these 2 hallways, and eventually the stage will just complete. So the faster way to do this is that we can prevent many of them from spawning. So when Elvis cracks that door open, which is normally locked, we just stand in it. And the first scatter will spawn definitely in this room. Then there's a random amount of time before the other 2 spawn. Quick. That was quick. And that was really quick. Good ending. So he just used a new technique on that stage that a player by the name of White Ted discovered to make that ending nice and quick and consistent. And it worked out for him, so good stuff. All right, the last stage is Scatter Ruins. This stage is kind of annoying for both individual level and RTA because there are 5 pillars on the stage that you need to plant 3 target trackers onto. And 3 of the 5 pillars are special pillars that you're supposed to plant onto. So you have to use this thing called the R tracker to like mark on your map which ones are the correct pillars. And it's random every time you play. There's a bunch of different sets they can be. Alka got kind of one of the not so good ones on this run, but I mean, they're all fine at the end of the day for RTA. It's just, as a player, you need to be ready to deal with all of them. He's getting obliterated here. The scatter on this stage, they're basically not an issue if you're fast enough, because as long as you keep running, there's kind of no way they can actually attack you. Oh, he's going to play it really safe. Okay, he's actually not going to do the skip here. There's a way to skip over this little gap by firing a Devastator shot into the ground, but my guess is because he took too much damage, he's not going to try it. I mean, it saves a little time, but the run went smoothly enough overall, so I don't think he wants to toss it right here. So, you know, the scatter basically can't do any damage to you, but once you stop moving and they lunge at you, it's game over. Like, even on Agent, they can just flood you and kill you very quickly. So now we have the boss battle, the end of the game. Look away if you don't want spoilers. We just use the Callisto to fire at the Scatter King until he crouches like that. Then we want to fire these little shards of the statue up here. And they fall on his head. Normally you do it one at a time, but there's a way to break 2 of them at once. Alka did that at first. And time. That's it. That is it. The end of the game. Very, very sick.
That was
awesome.
A 32:27.
Nice. 32:27. That's a solid time. And, you know, I mean, marathons are always like, you really, apart from RTA strats, marathon strats are like a whole nother strat entirely. So for playing it as safely as he did, that went about as well as I think you can possibly expect. So good job, Alka. Hopefully my commentary, I don't know, at least said something interesting. So thanks again for the opportunity, guys, and congrats.
Thank you very much for coming and running, and thank you for coming and doing commentary. I'm going to go ahead and throw us over to the BRB, and then we will be switching restreamers. The stream's
Awesome.
going to go down for just a couple of seconds, so don't go anywhere, don't panic, everything's fine. It'll be right back up in a second. Thank you very much. Okay, we're good.